My ex-wife. This happened 2 years ago. I was wrapping up a work trip and had a few hours to kill before my bus home. I bought my ticket and decided to walk around the city for a while. That's when a woman came up to me on the street. I recognized her immediately. It was my first wife, Nina. We'd divorced 12 years earlier. She hadn't changed at all. Her face was maybe a little paler than I remembered, but otherwise she was exactly as I'd known her. The meeting clearly shook her as much as it shook me. I had loved her badly. That was the problem. The jealousy was relentless. I couldn't help it, couldn't stop it. If she was 5 minutes late coming home, my heart would start hammering and I'd be convinced something terrible had happened, or that she was somewhere she wasn't supposed to be. I questioned her constantly. Where had she been? Who had she seen? Why had it taken so long? In the end, she left. She couldn't take it anymore. I still remembered the day I came home carrying a puppy I'd found. I wanted to surprise her, make her laugh. The apartment was empty. There was a note on the kitchen table. She wrote that she was leaving, that she loved me, that my suspicions had worn her down past the point she could bear. She asked me not to look for her. And now, here she was, 12 years later, on a sidewalk in a city I was only passing through. We talked for a long time. Too long. I suddenly realized I was going to miss my bus. I told her I had to go. "Alex," she said, "please, I know you're in a hurry, but do this one thing for me. For everything that was good between us, just come with me to one place. I can't go in alone." Of course I said yes. I said we'd have to be quick. She led me into a large building nearby, and we walked for what felt like 15 minutes, through corridors, upstairs, down again, through one wing and into another. People passed us going both ways. Children, middle-aged couples, very old men and women. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. My mind was entirely on Nina. At some point, she reached a door, stepped through it, and pulled it shut behind her. Before it closed, she looked back at me. The way she looked, it was like a goodbye. She said, "Isn't it strange? I was never able to be with you, or without you." I stood at the door and waited. I wanted to ask her what she'd meant, but she didn't come back out. And then something snapped me back to myself. I looked around. I was standing in an abandoned building. The windows were empty frames, open to the sky. The staircase I'd walked up was gone, just boards laid across the gap, which I had to cross on my hands and knees to get down. I missed my bus by a full hour and had to buy a new ticket for a later one. While I was at the counter, the clerk mentioned that the earlier bus, the one I'd missed, had gone off a bridge into the river. There were no survivors. 2 weeks later, I was standing at the door of Nina's mother in their hometown. I'd tracked down the address through some old contacts. Her mother, Margaret, told me that Nina had died 11 years ago, the year after our divorce. I didn't believe her. I thought she was protecting Nina from me, afraid I'd start up the old obsession again. But when I asked to see the grave, she agreed without hesitation. A couple of hours later, I stood in front of a headstone. The photograph set into the stone showed the woman I had loved my whole adult life. She was smiling. Somehow, in some way I will never understand, she had saved it. The three-legged thing. You ever want your life to just change? Suddenly, completely, permanently, for the better? I wanted that more than anything. And it happened. By now, I'm basically a walking redemption arc cliché. I was a broke junkie circling the drain, and now I own a martial arts gym. I'm a competitive fighter. I've got money, a 12th floor apartment in a new building. You get the idea. I don't touch substances anymore, don't even drink. I smoke sometimes, late at night. There are nights when going to sleep feels too dangerous, and I don't have the energy for anything else. If you're thinking some touching moment of clarity triggered all this, some "what am I doing with my life" epiphany, wrong. Maybe that works for some people. Not for me. By 21, I'd already made my peace with the idea that I'd probably overdose in some alley in a few years. I wanted out of that loop desperately, but wasn't doing a damn thing about it. Just waiting for some miracle, some kick in the ass hard enough to throw me clear of the whole mess. The miracle showed up. When you can't live without drugs, drugs become your life. So I lived, breathed, and earned through drugs. It's convenient in a way. You always have connections. You're never completely dry. I never cooked anything myself. I failed chemistry twice. Just ran errands, finding buyers, making deliveries, that kind of thing. Despite my wrecked nervous system and skeleton physique, I managed to look presentable. Always clean-shaved, decent clothes. I looked less like a junkie and more like a hungry college student. That got me courier work. My specialty was long-haul deliveries, complicated routes, multiple transfers. After 20-plus runs, I was genuinely good at it. One time, I got what looked like an easy job with unusually good pay. Deliver a package to Millhaven, a small town about 6 hours by bus, no security checkpoints, middle of nowhere. For me, it was basically a paid road trip. I took it without hesitating. The only thing that nagged at me was why the payout was so generous for something so straightforward. I got there, made the drop, collected my money. That's when I found the catch. I'd arrived late in the evening, and the next bus back didn't leave until 6 in the morning. I had a whole night to kill in a town that had absolutely nothing in it. No hostels, no motels, no 24-hour diners, not even a mall. The one bar I found looked like a waiting room for people who'd recently been released from prison, which made sense, since there was apparently a correctional facility somewhere nearby. Walking in there would have been the last thing I ever did. I tried a few apartment building lobbies for warmth and found they were barely warmer than outside. January, minus 25 Fahrenheit. I was underdressed and running out of options. I'll take a detour here. I hated people. Thought everyone was either openly terrible or secretly terrible, putting on a decent face when it suited them. There was one exception. My older brother. 12 years between us, but we got along perfectly. He was basically the father I should have had. Our actual father was a religious drunk who gave me nothing except bruises and bad genes. My brother loved dinosaurs, wanted to be a paleontologist. He would have been one if stomach cancer hadn't killed him first. The only thing he left me was a keychain he'd carved himself, a pterodactyl, my favorite. He made it by hand. I'd carried it for over 10 years without really knowing why. I told myself it was a lucky charm. Maybe it was a reminder that the world wasn't entirely rotten. Didn't matter. It was in my pocket that night. I grabbed it, squeezed it, and started walking with no particular destination. Luck found me anyway. I ended up back at the bus station where I'd arrived hours earlier. The station itself was locked, but there was a small attendance booth attached to it with a light on inside. I knocked. A woman in her 40s answered. I explained my situation, offered to pay whatever she wanted. She waved off the money and let me in anyway. I could have cried. "Don't turn on any lights and don't let anyone in," she said.
"There's a vending machine over there. Get yourself some coffee." The station was tiny, glass walls on 3 sides, no streetlights outside, just darkness pressing against the windows. The coffee from the machine was terrible, so I just sat on the floor next to it and let the warmth soak in. I fell asleep.
I woke up when someone tried the door. Not pounding, not rattling, just a soft, uncertain pull. I remembered what the attendant had said. Whoever it was could forget it. I pulled my hood down over my face and tried to go back to sleep. Then I heard the voice. "Let me in. I'm very cold." High, thin, clearly a child's voice. The door handle moved again. "Let me in. I'm very cold." That got to me. I was a cynical piece of garbage, but apparently not cynical enough to sleep through a kid freezing to death outside. I tried to talk myself out of it. Could be a distraction. Could be someone using a child to get me to open up. But who runs a con in -25 weather? And there was nothing in the station worth stealing anyway. "Let me in. I'm very cold." I knew exactly how cold it was out there. I hauled myself up, hobbled over to the door on stiff legs. Coming. Just be quiet, okay?" I slid back the heavy bolt and pulled the door open. And woke up. Really woke up this time, disoriented, heart going. I was still on the floor next to the vending machine, exactly where I'd fallen asleep. Just a dream. Except something had changed. The warmth was gone. The air in the station was as cold as outside, and the front door was standing wide open. I looked around. Then I heard it. Footsteps crunching in the snow outside. Heavy, deliberate. Someone was out there. I did the only thing I could think of. I crawled under the nearest bench and lay flat, keychain clenched in my fist. Terrible hiding spot. I just hoped the dark would cover me. The footsteps didn't come inside. They moved past the door and started to fade. A moment later, I saw the figure through the glass walls. It was tall, well over 6 feet. Broad, or maybe that was the layers of clothing, which looked wrong on it. Too small, pulled in awkward directions. It moved with a strange hitching gait, like a limp, except not quite. And it was carrying someone. A person, limp in its arms, head hanging at an angle that meant the neck was broken. I didn't see the face of whoever it was carrying. The figure turned and walked toward the attendant's booth. The light was off now. She must have been asleep. It went inside. I heard the door close. Then I heard her voice, sharp and startled, asking who was there. A light came on through the window. I braced myself for screaming. There was yelling, but not the kind I expected. She was furious, chewing it out in a language I didn't recognize, something with clicks and hisses that didn't sound like any language I'd ever heard. And then the other voice answered. That's when the cold really hit me. It was the same voice, the same high, thin, childlike voice that had been at the door. "Let me in. I'm very cold." That voice was coming from the thing that stood over 7 feet tall and carried bodies. The child voice answered her, defensive, like it was making excuses. Something hit the floor with a heavy thud. The body, I was pretty sure. Her voice got angrier. Then she switched to English. "Fine," she snapped, with the exhausted fury of someone who has had this argument before and lost it before. "Fine. You already killed him. Eat. Just eat. What's done is done." The child voice made a grateful sound. Then I heard it. A wet crack. Then another. Then the sounds of something feeding. I stopped thinking. I moved.
The feeding sounds covered my footsteps as I crawled to the exit. I made it outside, and that's when I saw the tracks in the snow. Three distinct impressions in a pattern that didn't match any animal I'd ever seen. I remembered the lurching, hitching walk. 3 legs. I didn't run, exactly. I just moved as fast as I could without making noise until I was around the corner of the building. And then I ran. I found an unlocked apartment lobby a few blocks away, went up to the top floor, wedged myself into a corner, and stayed there until it got light. By morning, the whole thing felt like a fever dream. I was a junkie. Vivid hallucinations were occupational hazard. I'd had worse. Except this one had felt completely real, and I couldn't shake it. I made myself walk back to the station. The bus was in 40 minutes. Everything looked normal. The station was open, passengers waiting inside. The snow around the building had been neatly shoveled, a clean path cleared. No 3-legged tracks. No blood. The attendance booth was locked up tight. No sign of anyone. I leaned against the wall and lit a cigarette. Almost convinced myself. And then I spotted something in the snow near my feet. A small shape, half buried. My pterodactyl keychain. I must have dropped it when I ran. Good. I'd have hated to lose it. I picked it up, brushed it off, put it in my pocket, and got on the bus. I slept the whole way home. When I got back to my apartment and emptied my pockets, 2 keychains fell out onto the counter. 2 identical hand-carved pterodactyls. Same tool marks, same grain, same small crack along the left wing, same chain, same clasp. My brother had made one. There was no second one. He'd carved it freehand from memory. No mold, no template. 2 identical handmade objects cannot exist unless one of them came from somewhere else. I stood there for a long time. In one version of that night, I opened the door. The thing got in. That was my neck. My body was what it carried to the booth. Those were my bones. When it dropped me, the keychain fell out of my pocket. By morning, the attendant had cleaned everything up, but she missed the keychain in the snow. The next day, I called the gym and signed up for boxing. I flushed everything. Every bag, every bottle. I needed to stay sharp. I needed to be ready. I know it sounds insane, arming yourself against something like that, but I had to do something. The alternative was just waiting. I worked, trained, saved, built something. Not because I cared about success or money. I needed resources. A high-floor apartment with a good lock, security cameras, a shotgun and a hunting license, a gym full of people who know how to fight. None of it will probably be enough, but I have to try. Because here's what keeps me up at night. The version of me that died, was that me, or was I the copy? The wrong one, from a broken branch of reality, living a life that wasn't supposed to be mine. I don't know. I'll never know. What I know is that there are 2 keychains on my belt right now. I hear them knock against each other sometimes. And every time I hear that sound, I know I can't pretend. It's still out there. And at some point, it's going to figure out that the body it ate wasn't the right one. I need to be ready when it comes for me. Streetcar number 14. Lily disappeared 7 months ago. The police stopped looking after 3. My mother still breaks down sometimes in the middle of an ordinary phone call. How are you, honey? How's work? Fine, Mom. Fine. I watched it happen. That night we'd been drinking. Properly drinking. The kind that takes hours and empties bottles.
She'd broken up with another guy who wasn't worth her time, and I'd been pouring her good whiskey and quietly, privately, glad about it. She'd get over it. She always did. My sister had the worst luck with men of anyone I've ever known. By 2 a.m, we remembered we both had work. "Stay over," I said. "I'll find you a shirt." "No," she said. "I need to get home and pull myself together." "You want me to call you a car?" "Don't be ridiculous. It's 6 stops on the streetcar. I'll be fine. Don't worry, Anton. Thanks for the whiskey." We went out on the balcony for a last cigarette. The streetlights along the block had gone out. A power outage, a few buildings in either direction, everything dark except the distant glow from the port and the headlights of the occasional car moving through. Even the traffic signals were dead. The only friendly light on the whole street was a streetcar sitting on the tracks at the corner, windows lit up yellow, warm, like a bright fish tank in a dark room. I pointed out that the power was out. "Maybe not everywhere," she said. "Look, that one's still running." She almost dropped her cigarette, gesturing at it. "Do those things run on batteries if the grid's down? Do you know?" I didn't know. I told her to come back if it wasn't running, and I'd call her a car. She'd pay me back. I watched from the balcony as she got on. The streetcar pulled away a couple of minutes later, carrying her with it. That was 7 months ago. She never came back. 3 days ago, well past midnight, I couldn't sleep and went out on the balcony to smoke. The streetlights were out again, the whole block dark, the darkness swollen somehow, spilling over the curbs, pooling at the base of the steps. The stars were brighter than I'd ever seen them from this street. And at the corner, waiting on the tracks, a streetcar glowed with its big windows. Something moved in the back of my mind. I didn't stop to think about it. I put on my shoes, grabbed a jacket, and ran down the stairs. I made it just as the doors were closing. I jumped on. Let me go back. The morning after Lily disappeared, I woke up around noon with a head full of broken glass and reached for my phone to call in sick to work. That's when I saw the missed calls from her number and the automated voicemail notifications. Something in my chest went cold. I dialed with shaking fingers, already knowing something had gone wrong while I was sleeping. There were 5 messages. "Anton, are you asleep? Sorry, I think I got on the wrong one. This one's going to the yard or somewhere. I don't recognize the route at all. I'm going to get off and catch one going back. Come meet me if you can. I'll pay you back for the car, okay? Anton." It took me to some kind of terminal, but the power's still out here too. I don't know which way to go. It was the number 14. Do you know that line? God, if it was the last one, I'm really stuck. I should have just taken the car. Call me back if you wake up, okay? Anton. I don't understand. I can see your building. I can see the corner store. The boulevard is right there. I think it brought me back. But how? I would have noticed a U-turn. Okay, I'm coming up. I'll be knocking on your door in like 2 minutes. Don't freak out. It's pitch dark out here. Everyone's inside. It's kind of freaking me out. All that whiskey and now I'm sober. Typical. Okay, running. See you in a second. The 4th message. Just breathing. Fast and ragged. A door slamming. The sound of my own apartment door. I was almost sure of it. Quick footsteps on concrete. Broken glass somewhere underfoot. Something loud right up against the microphone, and then it cut out. The last message had come through near dawn. Anton, hey. A whisper, urgent and low. I don't know if you'll get this. I'm an idiot. I had my phone flashlight on for so long, and I only just noticed the battery. It's almost dead. So, I don't know how to explain this. Everything just changed. I waited for sunrise, but I don't think that's happening. Do you hear that sound? Like wind in the trees? It's not wind. I figured that out too late. I'm hiding right now, outside your building, behind the dumpsters by the alley. The streetcar is still sitting at the loop. I'm going to try to get back on it. If it goes back and forth, maybe I can ride it home. But I've seen things here, Anton. I don't know what's happening. She breathed in sharply, and then her voice cracked. I really want to come home. I really want to see you and Mom. I'm sorry for falling apart. It's just so dark, and there's nobody. Just these... God. Okay. If I don't make it back, go be with Mom, okay? Stay with her, and pray for me if you remember how. Remember when I tried to teach you in middle school and you kept refusing? I still remember. I love you so much, bro. The recording ended. In the last few seconds, under her voice, I heard something that might have been wind moving through trees. I'm not sure. After that, the police, the missing persons report, my mother's face, 7 months of silence. 7 months of a specific kind of unbearable emptiness. And then, apparently, it wasn't over. 3 days ago, I jumped on that streetcar. Did I know what I was doing? Yes. I'd listened to those voicemails 1,000 times. Lily wasn't crazy, wasn't on anything. I knew what I was walking into. What drove me was the thought that she was still there somewhere, that I could find her, take her hand, bring her back, the way she once came and found me when I was 6 years old and lost in the woods behind our grandmother's house, crying and convinced I'd never get home. I never forgot what it felt like to be that lost. I'm on the streetcar right now, finishing my 71st loop. I'm writing this with my feet up on the seat across from me, partly to pass the time between terminals and partly to keep myself from looking out the windows too much. Each loop takes about 20 minutes. You know that image of a Mobius strip from school? A surface that only has one side, a loop with no inside or outside? I keep thinking about it. That's what this is. No such line as the number 14 has ever run in New Orleans. But here I am, touching the cold metal of the handrail, pressing my palm against the glass, feeling the dark on the other side. This streetcar is real. It's particular. God knows what made it this way, but it's something. When it arrives at a stop, it drinks the light. That's how you'll know it if you ever see it. The pantograph on the roof is down, not touching the wire. There's someone in the driver's seat, in an orange vest, but the reflections in the glass won't let you see his face. Run from it, or get on as fast as you can. I don't care. Just know, nobody promised that all strange things are safe. It runs without stops or turns between 2 streetcar loops. The same loop, really, just approached from opposite ends. It's a trick, because it always brings you back to where you started. Or so it seems. That's the mistake Lily made. That's the mistake I made the first time. The devil is in the details. The difference is subtle at first. What did I see when I stepped off? The same streets, the same buildings, but dark and empty. My apartment building stands 100 yards away, but something has happened to the windows below the 6th floor. The signal lights on the refinery towers across the river are off. The city sounds like a city at night, but dawn never comes, and the stars, if you look long enough, you'll see them disappearing one by one, leaving ragged holes in the sky. Areas of total nothing. And they grow. The first time I stepped off, I panicked. I ran down the street shouting her name, tried car doors, looked behind dumpsters, found her crumpled handkerchief and her dead phone in a puddle by the alley. The lobby door of my building was bent open, smeared with something on the inside. I went up on foot. The elevator was dead.
following the print of her sneakers in the dust on the stairs. Her tracks led to my apartment door, standing ajar. Inside, the entryway mirror in pieces on the floor, drawers pulled out and emptied, wires ripped from the walls, dust on everything. The small amount of starlight coming through the kitchen window was enough to understand. Whatever this place is, no one has lived in it for a very long time.
Lily wasn't there, of course. She'd done exactly what she said in the voicemail. Gone back to the streetcar, hoping it would take her home. It only took her deeper. Here's my theory. Each loop shifts you slightly. The place you arrive is not quite the same place you left 20 minutes ago. It drifts relative to where you started. For a while, I tried to map it. Walked in both directions, climbed to rooftops and lit fires, looked for working vehicles, intact food, anyone. Until I realized it wasn't safe to stay on any given layer too long. I heard the sound she described in her last message. I saw what makes it, and I stopped. When I say the world shifts after each loop, I mean it literally. It becomes stranger. It slips. Like walking into deeper water, the ground less certain under your feet. No way to turn back. Where did Lily go? Somewhere the sky stopped looking like a sky. Somewhere that sound comes from, growing louder, the kind that makes you want to cry without knowing why. Where the buildings have melted into each other overhead and formed a tunnel over the tracks. And the streetlights have grown pale, knobby outgrowths like shelf fungus. I can see all of this through the windows of the number 14 right now. I followed her anyway. One more loop, and one more. 72 now, and I'm close. I can feel it. The traces she left became fresher loop by loop. Campsites, torn clothing, words scratched into the walls of what used to be my apartment. She survived by eating the fleshy growths that push up from the manhole covers, things that flicker faintly inside. She made it a long time alone in the dark, looking for a way back. The writing on the walls eventually became drawings, then just marks, low to the ground. The places where she passed are sticky now. She's been here so long. I didn't eat the local growth, no matter how hungry I got. By the 20th loop, I'd lost the nails on my right hand, and the fingers had gone strange and flexible. By the 30th, my eyes had started to ache like they were pressing against the inside of their sockets, and patches of my scalp had gone soft and bare. It gets worse. I understand that. I'm terrified of what I'll find when I reach her. That she'll have been here too long, that she won't fit anymore in the world we came from, that she already belongs to this place. I don't have a plan, no reliable method of getting us back, but this is still, underneath everything, just a machine on rails. While the world was still recognizable, I found some tools and brought them with me. I think I might be able to reverse the motors, make the thing run itself backward out of here. Maybe that works. Maybe it doesn't. But even if it doesn't, even if I reach her and I can no longer take her hand, even if the last thing we see together is blue flickering light and the walls of this place closing in, she won't be alone. The battery's almost gone. Time to go. Through the windshield, I can already see the only stop on this route.